Jose, ábrelo más, open more over there. Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning and thank you. You were here beside me from the great partners here. DDC. This is how New York City is working. A lot of good projects is happening, and most of them, when it comes to big and more complex one, is the collaboration between many agencies. In this case, of course, from DEP, but DDC is a great partner. So most of the project that we do here at DOT. I want first to acknowledge and recognize that the first person that had a vision to address the issue of Grand Concourse being seen as a highway. And I remember as a Liberty taxi driver that I was for Bailey Car Services and Simpson Car Service in the Bronx. Those of us who were driving at that time, drive through Grand Concourse was never seen as a street, but it was more as a highway. So it's not only the force of the drivers, but it was also the city did not plan thinking about Grand Concourse as a street. And that's why you hear the data of how dangerous it was and how much it has improved. But there's someone that we want the best for him on himself. Not only he understood the challenges, but also he put the money. And that was Congressmember Jose Serrano. Let's give him a big round of applause. Those of us in governments, we go in ribbon cutting to many projects. That many leaders, they also did the groundbreaking. And those who have vision, sometimes we do a lot of groundbreaking for projects that other leaders, they will be doing the ribbon cutting. And this is what New York City is all about. It's respecting and value the continuity of this city. So good morning. As most of you know, I'm New York City DOT Commissioner Danis Rodriguez. On behalf of Mayor Eric Adams, it's great to be back in the Bronx this morning. I was just in Sheridan Avenue on Wednesday, and now today we are back to celebrate another beautiful improvement to the streets of the Bronx. And Mayor Adams knows we are spending a lot of time in the Bronx, Staten Island, because those boroughs are not the forgotten borough anymore. Those boroughs getting the love and the investment that the hardworking individuals who live here, they deserve. Just look around you. What we are talking about today is a transformation of one of New York City's great streets, the Grand Concourse. I was so happy to be here for historical first ever again, Bronx Summit Street, just a couple of weekend ago. And next year, with the partnership with Bronx Board President, Judel Catapia, Assemblywomen, and other elected officials, and the stakeholders, we are coming back with the Summit Street with more programming because the hard working class New Yorkers and middle class who live here, they deserve the same investment that we did on Summit Street for 15 years when that only was happening at Park Avenue up to 79th Street. We have now worked with a local community on a major $60 million project to turn this challenging street into a boulevard. It is now safer and with more trees and shade, much more beautiful and climate resilience. And as we will hear in a moment, we have completed some amazing work under this street as well. Before we get started, as I mentioned before, here we are joined by the great Bronx Board President, Vanessa Gibson, former colleague that I served together, the great friend also, Assemblymember Judel Catapia. I don't think that Councilmember Pierina is here, but Pierina is also a great friend, also Councilmember Pierina Sanchez. I would also like to recognize our partners in this project and in every major infrastructure projects across the city. The Design and Construction Commissioner, Tom, a big round of applause. We'll hear from them too later on. We are also joined by DEP Deputy Commissioner Tasso Giorgeli, and who handled water and sewer for Commissioner Reed. Thank you, Tom, and taxes. Back when I was at the City Council chairing the Committee of Transportation, the Vision Zero program started in 2014. It was an effort together, council and the mayor to work on this policy. Among the things we noticed back then was that some of New York City widest neighborhood through affairs has some of the most persistent safety problems. That's why under my predecessor, Commissioner Polly Tromber, when she served as a commissioner, and myself as a chairman of the Transportation Committee, we work with the Great Street Program. Great Street focused investment in 5 major streets. Queens Boulevard, as you know, it was known as the Boulevard of the Dead. Northern Boulevard in Queens, and 4th Avenue in Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, and here in Grand Concourse in the Bronx. In the era of Robert Moses, this street had been each transformed from community street into something closing to a highway. That was unacceptable, where pedestrians were a low priority and cyclists were hardly considered. But people continue to live in this neighborhood, most of them working class and middle class. And most of the people in this community do not own cars. They rely on our buses and our train, and they also part of those 200 million bike ridership that we have in New York City in 2022, and 550,000 bike ridership that we have in New York City every day. So we have to continue reimagining the use of public street for those who have vehicle, but also for those who take the buses, who take the train, who ride the bike, and they walk. Their life center around this street, where they live and shop and call the subway and buses. With so many vehicles moving fast, too fast here, usually to get somewhere else, this street was danger for most of them. Under Polly Tromber as a commissioner, myself as a chairman of the Transportation Committee, we aim to transform this road, and we make them safer. We also know our safety change work. On the Vision Zero, and for the media who I know they have to be following to see all those fatalities and how are we doing on Vision Zero, I want for you to pay attention to this and help us to tell the story. Vision Zero is working. The number of pedestrians killed or seriously injured on the corridor has declined dramatically. From 2012 to 2016, before the operation change came to the street, we have 12.8% mile, which is very high, and qualify the Grand Concourse as a Vision Zero priority because all those fatality numbers that we have here. Between 2017 and 2021, when many of these safety improvements had either been initiated and added or completed as part of the Great Street reconstruction, that number has declined by 40% to 7.17 per mile. And I'm proud that Mayor Adam continued to invest in this great street. We have so many state and federal funding partners, especially New York State DOT, FYWA, which is a subdivision of US DOT. We work so close to get the funding that we need. What have we done here? Take a look around this incredible change. Just as traffic safety fronts, we have new features to improve pedestrians and cyclists' access. You will not only see bright green bike lanes, we also have new bowlers. We have more than 100 bowlers in this corridor as we are finishing this project. For the disability community, this project made so many critical improvements. We added new accessible pedestrian signals for those who are vision impaired and hundreds of new pedestrian ramps that will make this West Bronx neighborhood so easier to get around. This is a new day, as I said before. This is how Mayor Adams and I, and with all the elected officials and partners and the other agencies, we are working so hard to improve our street. Now I want to give you the great partner, Commissioner DDC, Tom Foley.
Thank you, Commissioner. This really is a transformational project. The $60 million project on budget, on schedule, and has really transformed this area. I'll say that again, $60 million project on budget and on schedule. And I will say that the Assembly member and I were just chatting, and she was referring to this now as it was the Park Avenue in the Bronx. And it really is. When you look around here, you see not only the bollards as far as the protections, but the median that serves a purpose. But it is also aesthetically pleasing. The plantings, over 100 trees planted. But it doesn't just stop there. It's the new street lights, the traffic, the ADA accessibility, and all the work that went in underneath the ground as far as thousands of feet of new water main, new sanitary sewers, so that way the city, right? We're thinking ahead. I'm a civil engineer, went to school in the Bronx. We don't want to have to come back out here and rip anything up. We're continuing our work here, being that we are on budget. We have that extra money. We're going to continue working north of here on the Park Avenue in the Bronx here at the Grand Concourse. But this would not have been possible without an amazing team. The DDC team led by Deputy Commissioner Tom Wynn, and Ali Malik, Lou Sanchez, who is here. Our first Deputy Commissioner, Eric McFarland, is no stranger to all the work in and around the city. Our partners, Tully Construction, again, on budget, on schedule. They're not from the Bronx. They're from Queens, but we can work with them on that. Dino is here from them. We have NTEC, who is working with us as our engineers out in the field. Leo, we had a full-time dedicated liaison team working with all the elected officials. And it was an amazing project, and we look to continue this magic throughout the borough. So thank you very much. Thank you for our partners in the elected office. And we'll see you at the future groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. So we'll continue to do projects on time and on budget.
Thank you, Tom. Now let's hear a few words from Taxo Yujurli, who is, again, Deputy Commissioner of DEPs.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everybody. I am Tassos Georgilis, Deputy Commissioner at the Bureau of Water and Sewer Operations at DEP. I'm very happy to be here today with our partners from DOT and DDC to celebrate another phase of the work completed here on the Grand Concourse. I want to take a moment to highlight the vital underground work that took place as part of this project. To upgrade the neighborhood's drainage infrastructure, the number of catch basins in the area were doubled from 53 to 105. This will alleviate street flooding by capturing stormwater and directing it to the improved drainage system, which includes almost 2,000 feet of new sewers. Additionally, a portion of the water main system was replaced with new pipes made of ductile iron. These pipes are more resilient and less prone to breakage than the cast iron pipes that they replaced. This will provide residents with a reliable supply of drinking water for generations to come. We also replaced 13 fire hydrants with new ones to ensure that the firefighters have ready access to the city's water supply in case of an emergency. And finally, a total of 83 new trees were planted, which will improve air quality and provide shade. Expanding the tree canopy is more important than ever, as demonstrated by this week's heat wave. These new plantings will help cool off New Yorkers by decreasing the urban heat island effect. I'm happy to see this work has wrapped up on this portion and to hear it's under budget, on time. And we're looking forward to the next phase 5. Thank you.
Thank you. We will hear now from our great colleague and elected, but before that, in 1 minute, in Spanish, quiero decir de que hoy es un día muy importante para la ciudad de Nueva York, en representación del alcalde Rick Adams y de nuestra persona y los líderes de las agencias como son de Department of Sun Construction, de DEP. Queremos decirle gracias a todos los residentes de vecindario, a las voces que han estado luchando, a la Junta Comunitaria. Let's give a big round of applause for the community boards also, who are great leaders. Y hoy nosotros lo que estamos es transformando este lugar. Algo que contó con el dinero del ex congresista José Serrano, con el apoyo de la administración anterior, responde a la visión que ha tenido la ciudad de Nueva York de convertir en boulevard, que se llamaban los boulevards de la muerte, por la cantidad de personas que morían producto de los choques en los vehículos, en lugares que se vean boulevard para caminar, boulevard para que el ciclista sea más seguro, pero también un lugar donde el que va a un vehículo también sepa que cuando maneja un carro tiene que hacerlo con la precaución necesaria para que también protejan a las personas que caminan en esta calle. Así que hoy celebramos un proyecto que lo que busca es traer mayor seguridad a la gente que camina, a las personas que monta bicicleta en este vecindario. Una gran obra de nuevo que concluimos hoy bajo el alcalde Eric Adams y de nuestra persona. Con ustedes, let me give you la presidenta de condado, Vanessa Cruz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. A beautiful Friday afternoon, and we are here on the Grand Concourse for the official completion of Phase 4 of the reconstruction of the Grand Concourse. I am excited to be here as the Bronx Borough President, joining with all of my colleagues in government. I want to thank Department of Transportation. Thank you to our Commissioner, Idanis Rodriguez. Certainly thank you to our Bronx Acting Commissioner, Darissa Cruz, and the entire team at the Bronx DOT office, to Commissioner Tom Foley and the Department of Design and Construction, to our colleagues, Assistant Commissioner and the DEP team, my colleague, Assemblymember Yudelka Tapia, Councilmember Pierina Sanchez. I want to recognize Bronx Community Board 5, our board chair, Angel Caballero, and our district manager, Ken Brown, and really each and every one of you. This is truly a day that we are here to celebrate and recognize the incredible accomplishments of transforming the Grand Concourse. Many years ago, this was affectionately known as the Grand Boulevard, a strip, a thoroughfare from 138th Street all the way up to Marshallou Parkway. I've been around long enough to remember when this was just an idea, and I too want to thank our longtime Congressman, Jose Serrano, for his vision, for his commitment, and making sure that he advocated for the first wave of funding for us to begin the reconstruction of the Grand Concourse. When you look at the Grand Boulevard, these are our shared streets for all New Yorkers and for all Bronxites. Whether you are a pedestrian, a cyclist, a driver, whether you are a commuter on the BX1, the BX2, or the express bus, or you're simply crossing the Grand Concourse going from east to west. These are our streets, and this project recognizes that in order to achieve shared, safe streets, we must make sure that we provide access and opportunity, enhancing our crosswalks, expanding the medians, adding more trees, dealing with stormwater and resiliency, underground and above ground. And all of this in a $62.5 million project is what we see today. And in addition, all of the programs that we have embarked on here on the Grand Boulevard, and I also recognize August 26th, a Saturday, we had the first ever Bronx Summer Streets program. And every year, Commissioner, we have been working with Transportation Alternatives and the Bronx Museum and many other partners to embark on what we call Boogie on the Boulevard, aka Car-Free Sundays, in which we close the main service road and we have people walking, jogging, riding their bikes, and we encourage health and wellness because we know our borough struggles with asthma and heart disease and so many health-related issues. Addressing these issues is how you stabilize our families in this county. So I am especially proud that not only are we on time, but we are on budget. So the remaining money we have, Commissioner Foley, we can now begin with Phase 5 of the Grand Concourse so that we can go all the way up to Marshallou Parkway and greet our colleagues at Tracy Towers, right? Because we know that this project really had a vision, there was a blueprint, and there is truly so much purpose in what we are doing. We are trying to keep New Yorkers safe, trying to make sure they stay healthy, and making sure that at the end of the day, everyone is safe in our community. Commissioner Rodriguez and I, as members of the City Council at the time, were a part of the announcement and the rollout of Vision Zero. And we believed in Vision Zero, and we still do, because we've seen the fruits of the work. We've seen the labor involved. And so I say thank you all for recognizing the importance of investing in the Grand Boulevard, in the great borough of the Bronx. When we make these investments, we are investing in our children and we're investing in our families. And when we do that, we are investing in the future, not just this generation, but for future generations to come. So I look forward to next year's summer streets. I look forward to the next Boogie on the Boulevard until we go all the way to Marshallou Parkway. Thank you again, DLT. Thank you, DDC. Thank you, DEP, Community Board 5, and everyone for being here today.
Thank you, Board President. Now we were here from Assembly Member Joel Catap, and then from Council Member Pierina Sanchez. But let's say thank you also to the engineer that have been leading this project. I also want to say thank you to the contractors. You did a great job too, so thank you.
Thank you. We are celebrating today in the Bronx. This is the center of my district, the 86th Assembly District. I'm so happy that it's happening here. This block has been my block for 30 years. So I know Grand Concourse, like we call it. But I mean, before I got to come to this country, I heard and I read that it was called the Park Avenue of the Bronx, because these buildings were beautiful at that time, and the people that live here were rich, middle class, and all of that at that time. But when I came here, it wasn't this. It was completely different. And today that we're here celebrating, I want to thank Commissioner Rodriguez because it's been his fight. Not now that he's a commissioner, but since he was elected at the city council when he was the transportation chair of the committee of the transportation, and we're seeing the product and the final product of all that fight for many years. That I participated in many of them, and for me that know how disinvested our families in the Bronx has been over the years, this become really something that not only put the beauty that we have in the Bronx, in the Grand Concourse, but also make our communities, our families proud and given some type of dignity, thinking that actually we are actually changing our streets because we deserve it. Because we in the Bronx also deserve to have the safetiness, to make sure that we can cross the street, the ADA protections that are here now, that all our community deserve all of those things here. And that's, I think, that's one of the biggest things that we get. And we have three things that we take today. One is that, the safety that we're bringing, but also we're bringing the pride in our community. And also, we're bringing the money that was left because it was on time and it was on budget. So when we do that, that means that we still have more money to continue. So for me, when I read that, the $62.5 million, what exactly the money that was supposed to be spent in here, and it was on time. For me, it was, I said, okay, I just thought about the money. Okay, we have more money that we didn't spend. But I want to thank DDC and DEP and all the engineers and all the contractors that work in this endeavor. And let's continue because, we still have to do up to 4th and Row. And up to 4th and Row continue being my district. So for me, it's going to be really good. So thank you. Thank you all for this great job that we've been doing in our communities.
Thank you. Thank you, Assembly Member. And now let's hear from a great Council Member, Pierina Sanchez.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councilmember Pierina Sanchez, and I represent the 14th Council District here with the new women, the women who are newly representing this community. And I just want to first and foremost thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez, for your vision as Transportation Chair, but also as Commissioner for your continued commitment to the Bronx and to this part of the Bronx. To Commissioner Foley and to Commissioner Agarwala, thank you for making sure that this project was completed on time and on budget. I just want to share that I grew up, as many folks know, on these streets. I grew up on 196th Street and 183rd Street and walking everywhere in between. And when I was a little girl, my mom would not allow me to cross Grand Concourse. Not even when I was by myself, but when I was with her, we would literally go down into the train station that we have, whether it was Kingsbridge or Fordham or 183rd, 182nd. We would go down because we knew Grand Concourse was so dangerous and the cars were speeding past so fast that we would go down, go across, and come back up. And it didn't matter if we had strollers. It didn't matter if there were groceries involved. It mattered to my mother that we were safe, and she knew that Grand Concourse was not safe. And 20, 30 years later, as an elected official, as someone who was working with the previous administration, we know that the Boulevard of Dreams was one that was also, unfortunately, one where we lost far too many lives. And so today, I want to take this moment to remember those lives lost on this corridor, on this very corner, on these very intersections that you all have worked so hard for, because you are going to transform, you have transformed this section of the Grand Concourse here, and that is going to save lives. So thank you to our engineers, thank you to our project managers, thank you to the laborers that we took selfies on those hot summer days when you were out there. I just really want to appreciate the work. We have a lot more of it to do to keep our city streets safe, and this is a very big part of that. One last thing is that the Bronx, just as of 2 years ago, we had only 3% of the city's bike lanes. 3% in the entire borough of the Bronx. And projects like this, the Grand Concourse completion of Phase 4 and onward to Phase 5, is changing that reality. So we have to continue to make our streets safer for pedestrians, to make our streets safer for cyclists, to improve our bus service, and all of the work that we have to do. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you to my colleagues, and thank you to everyone who was involved in this project.
Thank you. Thank you. Before taking any question, I'd like to say thank you and recognize the great job that we do at DOT and at the Grant Division, led by Paul Ochoa, Igor, Jaroslavsky, Jogi, Samvi, Hardin Benjamin, Hardin Singh, and in the Bronx Borough Engineer, Alicia Ferrari, Charles Kennedy. They're the ones who do the great job. So we are the commissioner are so blessed to have great men and women in our team. So with that, we're ready to